So, another thing that I'd like to talk about. I mean, I'm pretty sure, this has been on my mind for a while. I think it's been on a lot of people's mind for a while, to be honest. But, technology. It's given us a lot of things, of course. But, are we relying on technology too much? Are we sitting here and using our calculators rather than trying to figure out, not really figure out, but, I mean, is the education system just chucking calculators at people and being like, hey, yo, my mans, here's your formula, plug that in the calculator and solve it, rather than casually being like, here is how you do blah, 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 and here's how you do it by hand, here's how you do it by calculator. But nah, man, doing it by hand doesn't really matter that much, because you can just whip out your calculator and your calculator will do it for you as long as you understand the formula. It's like, but honestly, that's not really helping people that much. Yes, the calculator makes it easier, but you know what making it easier does? It decreases the intelligence of the people. Because, I mean, yeah, you can understand a formula, but that doesn't mean that you can just casually work it out yourself. Well, I mean, I suppose if you know the formula, you can do it, but, I mean, just because you know a lot of stuff doesn't necessarily mean that, it doesn't necessarily mean that's a good thing. Like, I mean, you can know every single math formula in existence, but if you don't know why it works, then why does it matter, to be honest? Like, schools don't do a very good job. I think I said very, very much. I don't think that was proper grammar. I do not think that was proper grammar. Anyway, I don't think schools do a great job of explaining why formulas work anymore. I think they really just focus at this point about just teaching you. They're like, this is a formula, here's how it works in the calculator, plug it in, solve it, and be done with it. They don't just sit you down anymore and explain, this is how this works, and this is why this is like this. They don't do that anymore, because the calculator just makes it easier. Technology has made everything faster and more efficient, supposedly, but is it actually more efficient? I don't think so. I think it's not necessarily that it's more efficient in the long run, because the people are having the creativity sucked out of them by the education system, because you're not really taught why things work, and you're just basically just shown one solution. You sit there and they drill into you a one-track mind on solving things one way. And yes, math really can only be solved one way, but they really just tell you that everything's one way, because the way they phrase the questions and things is that, like, I mean, I suppose a good way to explain it is when you do history, like, they just flat out ask, like, did blah 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 happen at this time and whatnot, and the French Revolution or whatever you're talking about, only that the time it happened doesn't change. I mean, World War I will always be between the same years that it took place. Like, it's not like tomorrow World War I's are gonna have taken place in 1943 or something. It's like, no, it took place back in 1914 to 1918, I believe, if I remember correctly. I mean, sure, I have a computer, like, 2.5 feet to my left, but I don't feel like grabbing it and checking just to make sure that I got the time of World War I right, because it doesn't necessarily matter at the moment. I'm not trying to teach you about World War I or anything. I mean, if you wanted to learn more about World War I, then, just go and look up World War I, like tons of people did when Battlefield 1 came out, because for whatever reason, they somehow made people interested in World War I, and people started looking up World War I. Seems devious. Maybe they were trying to spread World War I awareness. Marketing, Dice. Marketing. I mean, obviously, that I doubt that's what they're trying to do. They're just trying to deviate from doing the same thing they've been doing, modern shooters, because modern shooters are everywhere. Like how back in the day, World War II shooters saturated the market. It was just what people did, and then they moved to modern shooters, and that's modern shooters started to saturate the market, so they moved to futuristic shooters, and those saturated the market too somewhat, but there were still modern shooters going on and things, and futuristic shooters, they're still more in season than modern shooters are now, to be honest. But people are also going back to World War II again, to change things up, basically. Because you can't keep doing the same things forever. Much like. Nah, I don't need to go off on another tangent. I was here to talk about technology, not how fashion and culture changes over time. It's no, man. Talking about technology, not fashion and culture. But yes, as I was saying, the technology is causing people to have it easier, so they're not as smart as they used to be. Do you think about the fact that, for instance, the land surveyors that they still have that job now. These land surveyors, they go out and they look at the property lines, basically, they report back to the government where the property lines for people's houses are and how the land has changed, because over time, rainfall and things will carry away dirt and the land will change, so they need to document the changes in land and things so that they can fix stuff if it needs to be fixed and whatnot. But you need to do calculus and trigonometry for that, and there was a time when we didn't have calculators, so these land surveyors would have to go out and do calculus and trigonometry without a calculator. And unless you have a very old instructor, you can't learn how to do that anymore. Even for instance, fields like architecture and engineering, they're starting to rely on technology a lot more than they used to, obviously. You got AutoCAD, for instance. I did as one of my high school courses, I did drafting, basically, and it was when I got to it, hand drafting was taken out of the curriculum. Basically, they don't teach you how to do it by hand anymore. They basically sit you at a computer, they give you AutoCAD, and you have to do the stuff on AutoCAD now. And it's not like that's a bad thing or anything, but when you think about the fact that the power can go out, and if no one knows how to draft by hand, if the power goes out for a week, then that just means that the construction project has been halted for a week because nobody knows how to do the stuff by hand anymore. And not to mention, it would actually be halted for more than a week Because even if people did know how to do the drafting by hand, because all of it is in the computer and the power is out so they can't access the computer, that means they would have to figure the stuff out from scratch again temporarily while they were waiting for the power to go back on. Unless someone was maintaining a physical copy of the schematic the entire time they're running through. I don't work at a drafting company or anything, so I don't necessarily know how it works. To be honest, I don't know if they maintain a physical copy of the project the entire time, just in case there's a power outage for an extended period of time or anything like that. I don't necessarily know, but you know how it is. I'm just saying that it's not necessarily a good thing that we don't remember the original way to do things, because we're letting the original way die off because we can just use a calculator. Because eventually there might come a situation where you need to know the original way, but because we've allowed technology to make everything easier for us, we don't know the original way, and it just causes a lot of trouble for us. I honestly think, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, I'm pretty sure, probably just channeling my inner, 60-year-old man or something, because, I mean, to be honest, I didn't hang around with a lot of young children of my age. I just casually hung around in circles with, 60-year-old men, so, actually kind of saying that seems pretty weird, that, I just casually hung out with older people, and being like, it's like, oh man, the world's all messed up and junk. It's like, yeah man, totally. It's like, seems pretty weird. I don't know how I feel about how strange that sounds. I really don't know. Really don't know. I mean, it's not weird, I swear, man. It's not weird. I mean, it's kind of like on level with the teachers, though. It's almost like there was an inside joke that me and the teachers got, but the rest of the class didn't get, because, I was the dude who casually decided to not be the guy who hangs out with his own generation. I'm like, nah, man, I'm gonna hang out with the previous generation because this generation sucks. I mean, not really. I don't think this generation sucks or anything. I'm just saying it. We all do things to be different sometimes, just because we can. And so I'm like, I'm just gonna hang out with a bunch of people from the older generations, and just be one of the older generation people. Except, I can't change when I was born, obviously. So I'm just casually gonna be like this young dude who has the ideals of a 60-year-old man, and then people are just like, bro, what the heck? Why are you like a 60-year-old man even though you're not a 60-year-old man? I mean, honestly though, it's pretty difficult to maintain that. Oh, look at that! Here I am going off on a tangent again for it's probably been 4 minutes that I've been talking about this thing when I'm supposed to be talking about technology. But I pretty much stated everything I really needed to state about the technology. That we're really just relying on the technology too much, and we're not, we're not trying to preserve the old way, basically, and that this might cause problems later on because we didn't preserve the old way, and power goes out or something. But I suppose that's about it. I've been going for 15 minutes, surprisingly, so if you liked the video, go give it a like. If you didn't like it, give it a dislike. You want to subscribe, you can do that too. And I'll see you in the next video. Or if you don't decide to come back, that's your choice. But see you guys later.